Today on Rappler. The chief of police of Davao is relieved as a probe begins into March drug war killings in the city. Defense Chief Teodoro slams a new China Coast Guard regulation that calls for the apprehension of so-called trespassers in China-claimed waters. China starts the second day of war games in Taiwan that tests its ability to, quote, seize power. Teenager Carlo Acutis will become the first millennial saint. And Ressa tells Harvard graduates, "Our world is on fire. Welcome to the battlefield." The Chief of Police of Davao City, Richard Badang, is administratively relieved from his post Thursday, May 23, less than 2 months after he assumed command. This as the Regional Internal Affairs Office starts an investigation into the deaths of 7 people suspected of involvement in the local drug trade during police operations in Davao City from March 23 to 26. The first of the series of killings took place a day after Davao Mayor Sebastian Duterte warned he will go after people engaged in illegal drug activities in the city unless they leave. The message is reminiscent of the pronouncements of his father, ex-President Rodrigo Duterte. A spokesperson from PNP Davao Regional Headquarters says Badang's removal aims to ensure an impartial and credible investigation and will prevent any undue influence on witnesses or tampering of evidence. Speaking before officers of the Philippine Navy, Defense Secretary Teodoro criticizes China's newest Coast Guard regulation as a provocation. In another interview, Teodoro confirms he was alluding to a newly released China Coast Guard regulation setting the conditions for quote-unquote trespassers to be apprehended in Chinese waters. Teodoro calls it an irresponsible threat, which he says is a violation of the UN Convention on the Law of the Sea or UNCLOS and the United Nations Charter. Teodoro adds it is a matter of international concern since it is a breach of international peace. The regulation will reportedly take effect in June 2024. Tensions between the Philippines and China have amped up significantly as Manila asserts its sovereign rights in the West Philippine Sea. China claims a huge chunk of the South China Sea despite a 2016 arbitral ruling that junks its claim as invalid. China's military starts its second day of war games around Taiwan Friday, May 24, with drills to test its ability to quote-unquote seize power and control key areas. China says the exercises were launched to punish Taiwan's President Lai Ching-te. China has never ruled out the use of force to bring Taiwan under its control. The drills in the Taiwan Strait and around groups of Taiwan-controlled islands near the Chinese coast start just 3 days after Lai took office. China denounces Lai as a separatist. Lai repeatedly offered talks with China but has been rebuffed. He says only Taiwan's people can decide its future and rejects Beijing's sovereignty claims. Taiwan's armed forces meantime are mobilized to monitor and shadow Chinese forces. Taiwan's defense ministry on Friday published pictures of F-16s with live missiles patrolling the skies. The Vatican says Italian teenager Carlo Acutis, who died of leukemia at the age of 15, will be declared a Catholic saint after a miracle is attributed to his intercession. It takes 1 miracle to be beatified and a second to be declared a saint. Acutis has a huge following in predominantly Catholic Philippines. The Vatican says the miracle that led to his sainthood involves a Costa Rican woman. The woman's mother visited Blessed Carlo's tomb in Assisi after her daughter suffered severe head trauma with a very low chance of survival. That same day, the daughter began to breathe spontaneously, partially regained her speech, and a CAT scan later proved hemorrhaging had disappeared. A computer programmer who watched Pokemon and played the PlayStation, Acutis is touted as a saint for the 21st century and dubbed the first millennial saint.
Our world on fire needs you. Welcome to the battlefield.
Nobel Peace Prize laureate and Rappler CEO Ressa tells the Harvard class of 2024 they, quote, must have the courage to create the world as it should be, more compassionate, more equal, more sustainable. In her commencement address, she commends the battle-tested graduates who survived a pandemic and saw on their screens the horrors of war.
We live in a dystopian science fiction world when you have been forced to turn crisis into opportunity.
Around 30,000 graduates gathered at the entire stretch of the Harvard Yard, which was the site of a 20-day pro-Palestine encampment.
The campus protests are testing everyone in America. Protests give voice. They shouldn't be silenced.
And that's today's wrap. I'm JC Gotinga. Thank you for watching. Click the link below for the full story. Follow us on Rappler's YouTube, Facebook, X, Instagram, and TikTok.